Why more and more wise women are staying in and avoiding drop-in visits. It's not coldness, it's clarity. They've understood three essential truths. Have you ever felt a tightness in your chest the moment the doorbell rings? You freeze for a second. Maybe even pretend you're not home. It's not that you're being rude. You just don't have the energy to fake small talk. You're tired. You finally have a moment to yourself. And suddenly, you're scrambling to tidy the living room because a neighbor or relative texted 5 minutes ago saying, "Just thought I'd drop by." Some people say it's antisocial. But curiously, the women who don't like having visitors, the ones who don't make the rounds or show up unannounced, they're often the calmest, the clearest, and yes, the most peaceful people you'll meet. These women aren't cold or distant. They've simply come to understand three things about life. And because of that, they choose to live differently. They look at the world with clarity and walk through it with joy in their hearts. 1. They prefer a life of quiet, simple living. Pulitzer Prize-winning author Edith Wharton once wrote, "There are two ways of spreading light, to be the candle or the mirror that reflects it." Some women don't need to be in the spotlight. They're the quiet candles, glowing steadily in their own spaces. These women don't fill their calendars with social engagements. They aren't constantly throwing dinner parties or chasing the latest community gossip. To them, peace is sacred. A retired librarian from Oregon named Margaret Whitman once shared in a local newsletter that when her husband passed, she stopped attending neighborhood mixers and bridge nights. Instead, she transformed her sunroom into a sanctuary. Books, plants, soft jazz. She read everything from Shakespeare to Stephen King. She joined online forums about wild birds. And she said, "I finally feel like I've come home to myself." Like Margaret, many women have realized that they no longer need to perform hospitality on command. They don't feel the urge to impress visitors with spotless counters or fancy appetizers. Quiet is not loneliness. It's a luxury. Back in the day, maybe you enjoyed company all the time. But now, it's the soft ticking of the clock, the rustle of newspaper pages, or the gentle hum of your cat snuggling up beside you that brings you joy. 2. They've learned to say no to draining, empty socializing. Ernest Hemingway once said, "There is nothing noble in being superior to your fellow man. True nobility is being superior to your former self." That sentiment rings especially true for many women in their later years, especially those who've walked through hard times, survived family drama, felt the sting of fake friends and one-sided conversations. They've been there. They've smiled politely through forced conversations. They've cleaned the house for ungrateful visitors. They've sat at dinner tables where kindness was just a performance. No more. These women understand that some socializing is, frankly, pointless. It's not nourishing. It's exhausting. And it's okay to say no. Take Caroline Stafford, a retired nurse from Minnesota. She grew up in a large, noisy family. Her mother was always organizing gatherings, birthdays, holidays, any excuse to host. But Caroline remembers how her mother never had time for herself. Always in the kitchen. Always tidying. Always drained. Now in her 70s, Caroline keeps her life simple. She politely declines girls' luncheons that are full of gossip. She skips reunions where nobody really knows each other anymore. Instead, she spends her time on her real passions. Painting birds, volunteering at the animal shelter, writing memoirs. One of her neighbors, Linda, once said, "You're missing out on all the fun." Caroline just smiled and replied, "Darlin', I'm not missing anything. I'm finally living." And she is. 3. They set boundaries and prioritize home. There's an old saying, "A woman's home is her castle." And more, wise women are reclaiming that truth. Their home is their sacred space. Not a revolving door for drop-ins. Not a stage for performance. Take author Jeanette Blackwood, who lives in Vermont. She's an introvert by nature, and after publishing several novels, she could have easily gotten swept up in book tours, media appearances, and literary festivals. But she didn't. Instead, Jeanette made a quiet life for herself and her family. Each morning, she'd wake early to cook breakfast for her husband and kids. By mid-morning, she was in her study, writing with the soft light pouring in. Afternoons were for long walks and helping her son with homework. Evenings were sacred: dinner, conversation, sometimes a board game. That was her joy. Her agent often encouraged her to network more. Jeanette declined. She once wrote in an interview, "I've found that protecting my time and my home is the most radical form of self-care." Indeed, some couples, like Professor and Mrs. Samuelson from Colorado Springs, have a unique agreement. No guests between 3 and 5 p.m. That's their creative hour. He sketches birds in watercolor. She writes haikus. Same room, 2 desks, quiet music in the background. No interruptions. Their daughter once said, "My parents' marriage works because they honor silence as much as words." Strong boundaries like that don't isolate us. They preserve the warmth within. What looks like distance is often depth. So, when you see a woman who doesn't socialize much, who doesn't invite people in or drop by others' homes without calling, she's not cold. She's not lonely. She's likely one of the wisest women you'll ever meet. She understands that peace doesn't come from crowded rooms or noisy coffee dates. It comes from reading a good book, sipping tea on the porch, and watching the birds come and go. It comes from raising her children in a quiet, grounded home, from cultivating deep love with her partner, if she is one, or enjoying the freedom of solitude if she doesn't. She isn't trying to keep up. She isn't performing. She's simply living, authentically, deliberately, peacefully. The kind of women who choose this life. These women are not always visible. They don't seek the spotlight, but their presence is powerful. You'll find them quietly volunteering at the library, baking for the food pantry, or walking their dog at sunrise, smiling at the sky. They keep the lights low, the voices soft, the hearts full. Their time is precious. They spend it on things that matter. Reading poetry, growing tomatoes, calling their grandchildren, writing long letters instead of leaving short comments online. Their lives may not be flashy, but they're full. So what about you? Are you the kind who jumps up to greet every guest with open arms? Or do you, like many wise women today, feel a little anxious when the doorbell rings? Do you love your quiet routines, your private space, your morning coffee in peace? It's okay. You're not strange. You're not rude. You're simply someone who has grown to understand that the truest joy comes not from being surrounded by many, but from being truly at home with yourself. Let us all become those women. We don't need noise. We don't need to constantly entertain. We just need peace in our hearts, warmth in our homes, and time spent with those who truly matter. May we live simply, love deeply, and always guard the sanctuary of our homes and souls. Are you that kind of woman? Let us know. You might be surprised how many of us feel exactly the same.